My name's Stacey Haigh. I'm a second year law student with the Open University. I'm delighted to be here for a second episode of the Open Justice Centre podcast. Today I'm with Sonia Seran, who is a previous Open University law student and now specialises in special educational needs law by providing essential help and advice to the public. Sonia is today going to share her personal motivations and how she's developed her skills to be a part of this really interesting area of law. Thank you so much for joining me, Sonia. How are you doing?
Okay, thank you. How are you doing?
Well, thank you very much. Are you going to get out much today, or are you busy?
Oh no, I'm not going to get out much today. No, I've been stuck in front of the computer since 9 o'clock this morning.
How do you manage that time? Do you get everything done within normal office working hours or while the kids are at school?
So 9 till 3 is my kind of set hours. But if there's demand, like if there's one of my clients that's got a tribunal or deadlines or paperwork that needs to be submitted, then I will work into the small hours of the night, as we all do, once the kids are asleep. So yes, I try not to do that, but if I can't get what I need done during the day, then that's my time.
Well, I want to find out how you squeeze everything in a bit later on. But first, tell me, why did you start studying law?
I've got two boys who have got autism. In order to kind of get them the support that they needed at schools, I needed to go through the whole SEN tribunal process. At the time, I didn't know anything about it. I couldn't self-advocate. I was just absolutely consumed with taking care of the boys 24/7. It didn't feel like there was a lot of time outside of that. And as I was kind of working with the solicitors and working with the barristers who were representing the boys' cases, I watched how they were working and I watched what they were doing. And it was quite intensive at times. It was very time consuming. There was a lot of documents. There was a lot of evidence, preparing the bundles and all the rest of it. And actually, I picked up on a lot of key mistakes. You know, for example, there was a paper that the barrister had produced, which cited the presentation of one child and gave the name of the other, and then vice versa. This is a fundamental mistake. You can't say that, you know, this son has X, Y, and Z when actually it's the other son. So, you know, you're kind of like, you're blurring between cases, and that was fundamental mistakes. So because I got so involved with it, and then like I was like proofreading the bundles were over 800 pages each. And I thought, this is a really, really like arduous, intensive, difficult procedure for parents to go through. And it's supposed to be really easy to navigate, really easy for parents to access, right? And it really isn't. And I think I'm an articulate professional. I think I'm reasonably intelligent, and English is my first language. So I think, how about all these other parents that just don't have those to start off with, you know?
Yeah.
And that's when I thought, I can do this myself. I don't need to be hiring barristers and solicitors and doing X, Y, and Z, because I'd seen them at work and they were the best. You know, it cost me an arm and a leg. And we won both tribunals. So absolutely, it was the best thing at the time to do. But I thought, I can do this myself. So I knew at the time, because the boys' needs are going to change, and because I knew I'd be back at Sendist again. So I'm going to have to self-represent again at some point anyway.
So is that why you chose the Open University, so that it could fit around your lifestyle?
Yeah, Open University was absolutely flexible. Online, I can study and do whatever I needed to do whenever I needed to do it, and it was absolutely perfect for that. Yeah, I found the whole online portals really easy to navigate. I got support when I needed it. I was terrified because I'd never done any law before in my life. I was absolutely terrified. And I didn't know how I could manage the kids, my life, everything else that I had to manage. And on top of that, studying. I've been out of education for 20 years. So I was terrified.
Tell me about the more hands-on experience that you got, like the Open Justice project that you did.
When I was in my final year, I had the privilege and opportunity to be able to participate in one of the Open Justice projects. And the one that I was part of was around improving access to services for women who had undergone female genital mutilation. And we were working with voluntary sector agencies in Glasgow who were working with those communities. We looked quite widely at how is FGM talked about in those communities, if at all? What are the barriers to talking about it? What can assist in having those conversations? How to reach those women who have experienced FGM? And then how does the information need to be brought to them? Like, how can services move forward to be able to bring it to the attention of the communities in a appropriate and culturally sensitive, issue sensitive way? It was humbling, and it was a privilege to be part of it. And I think if there was an opportunity for something like advocacy around SEND about supporting and empowering SEND parents, having some sort of autism awareness or neurodivergent type social justice programme embedded into that with the Open Justice Centre, that would be a really welcome thing to do. Really positive.
Do you think that you got a lot of your inspiration for doing your advocacy work through the Open Justice Project?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was very similar to the way that my work is kind of structured, and also like being able to advocate for people who couldn't advocate for themselves, to be able to fight for a sense of injustice, social injustice. Those are the kind of things that really inspire me, that I'm really passionate about. So to be able to do that with the social justice project that I was part of, and then to be able to take the skills and the experience that I learned from that into my work now, yeah, absolutely phenomenal. It really was. It was a kind of a catalyst.
Can you tell me, other than your own personal experience that you have on this, what other things did you do voluntary or work-wise to get experience in SEN Law?
So I was the school representative for the local primary school. So I was the kind of SEND parent go-to. Anyone had any kind of questions, any needed support or signposting, or just a listening ear, really. Like, I was the kind of person that was being advertised on the newsletter and being signposted by the teachers. So I had that relationship with the school. So I started off doing that. And then I also worked with a number of different charities. So I worked with SWAN UK, it stands for Syndromes Without a Name. And it's for children who have got undiagnosed conditions, so they don't have a genetic diagnosis. So I was doing a lot of voluntary work with them and doing a lot of support. That was mainly around supporting other SEN parents, but also about kind of signposting and advocacy as well. And then I run a monthly one-to-one kind of social group, not one-to-one. It's called Autism One-to-One, and it's a monthly social group that runs in Kenilworth. So I had a number of different routes in where I was already doing it, but like, it was obviously all pro bono, and just, it really helped me to build up a network of parents that kind of, we supported each other, really. That's it. We became a tribe of SEND warriors that we just supported each other.
Yeah. Do you have any volunteers that work with you?
No, but it's something that I can look into in the future. There's always, at the moment, I've got more work coming in that I have the capacity to take on. So I'm looking to kind of how can I manage the demand? Yeah. There's a lot of parents out there that need support, and I'm just one person, so it's trying to figure out that as well. But I'd be open to open university students who are interested in learning more. Absolutely.
And you offer a lot of support for parents through the NHS as well. I'm really interested to hear about your second job.
So my second job is I work as what they call an EBE, which is an expert by experience. So I'm kind of brought in as and when the projects need me to support the NHS to deliver on their implementation of their autism strategy. So they've got a range of different priorities. I do a lot of kind of engagement with the community, consultations and feedback from parent carers and other schools and professionals. So it's really much about kind of consultation and co-production to make sure that services are accessible and neurodivergent friendly. So that's the kind of work that I did on the other side, which was again amazing, because part of what the NHS Trust in our area does is we do like something called a Dimensions tool. It's an online tool which basically you can go in as a parent or a carer or a teacher or a SENCO, and you answer like 20 questions. After you answer those 20 questions about the person that you're caring for, or the young person, it comes up with a bespoke kind of recommendations of where you can go and get help, how you can get support, where you can apply to get access to whatever, what services you need to go to. And it's absolutely brilliant. It'll give you a self-help guide. It'll give you loads of links that you can just click on and you can apply for whichever you need. And it's kind of integrated, so it's across schools and the NHS as well. So it's phenomenal. It's a really good tool. It didn't exist when I first had the children. And back then, the information just came through as drip, drip, drip. And you were lucky if you had a really good physio or a really good health visitor, and they'd tell you that there's this, there's that, you can apply for this, you can do this. And they'd help you to kind of get plugged into the infrastructure. But now that tool in itself is brilliant, and it helps you to find support. So there's support groups on there, so you can go and attend peer support groups and find other autism parents. It's really good.
Even navigating the local offer, I think a lot of parents struggle with. If you're looking for something specific and you go onto the site, there's plenty of information on there, but finding what you need, it's not easy. So
you're right. It's really not easy to navigate. It's supposed to be, but it's not easy to navigate. And then the other thing, a lot of parents of neurodivergent children are themselves undiagnosed. So we're trying to. I am ADHD. I am diagnosed. I'm on medication. But so I didn't know that at the time. But when you're trying to navigate the whole kind of portal, it's really quite confusing and difficult. And I just give up. For me, I just go off. This is too hard, and then off you go.
Yeah. It's definitely an area of law that requires improvement. I know that they're looking into doing that at the minute. With ditching the HCPs and providing more standard support in SEND in schools.
The situation at the moment is that the system is broken.
Yeah.
The situation at the moment is that children are being failed because they're not getting the right support they need. Not that because they're not capable or because they're not able to be taught, but because they're not getting the support they need. Every child is capable of learning, every child. What's different is how we teach them, what they need to be able to learn and what support they need in order to be able to learn and progress. That's what's different. So we need to change the way we teach them. But we don't always have the resources and the capacity and the method to be able to do that correctly in a way that supports the child how they need it. It's very bespoke, it's child-led, it's child-focused, child-centered, as it should be. So the children that need that don't get taught, or they get left behind, or they get branded as the naughty kids. And that's where the system's failing. I do think most children can be taught in a mainstream environment.
Yeah.
But the mainstream environment needs to be accommodating to neurodivergent children. And it needs to be from a point of the blueprint, not from a point of trying to change a system that already exists. I have come across some really incredible examples. So I've been to schools where the SEND inclusivity is so strong and so positive. It's embedded in the culture of the school. So no one's kind of seen as being, well, that's a different kid.
Yeah.
Everyone is included. There's a sense of belonging for everyone. And it's part and parcel of what they do and how they deliver. So it is possible. It's a mainstream school. They don't get any additional funding. They don't advertise as being a special needs school. They've still got 30 in a class. But the way that they have delivered what they can deliver has created a sense of inclusion, belonging, welcoming, and peer support. They're modelling a community where the peers support and mentor each other. So it's possible. And that's maybe the kind of thing that we need to do, is we need to think differently about how mainstreams are delivering what they're delivering. How we deliver education needs to be revised.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I just want to go back a little bit and ask about the SWAN charity that you mentioned, Syndromes Without a Name, just how you got involved in that.
So SWAN UK, it's a national charity, Syndromes Without a Name, and it's been set up to support families who have got children with undiagnosed genetic conditions. And I became involved with SWAN UK because my boys were both part of the 100,000 Genome Project. So we were kind of enrolled as a kind of pilot program. So my family, we all had our genome tested and mapped out and tested for any kind of genetic anomalies. It's a 2 to 3 year project. Obviously, these things take a long, long time. But they couldn't find anything of significance. So it still remains a mystery as to what the genetic kind of reasons behind their presentation. So the boys are still kind of referred to as being swans.
Is that a program that's still going then?
Well, the 100,000 Genome Project has come to an end, but they've got something new now. It's not a project now, it's an ongoing piece of work. So they're always recruiting for new participants. But I don't know about your area. Ours was run by the Birmingham Women's Hospital.
Okay.
By the kind of lead genetics, the genetic team that's there.
Yeah, and I guess that work has tied in really well with your advocacy work now, because as many people know, that you don't need a diagnosis to find yourself in the SEN system or applying for an EHCP. So just to confirm to the listeners, your website is senlaw.co.uk and you help all types of situations.
Access to education for all, that's what it's about. So it's making sure that every child has got the right to a basic education and can access that basic education. So I provide advocacy mainly across the whole navigation of the EHCP process, and also the senders tribunals around that as well. That's the kind of main things that I do. But I will also navigate around disability discrimination, and also look at complaints procedures against local authorities, so the Ofsted and the schools and all that as well. So there's a whole range of different things that are peripheral to what I do. But my main purpose is to empower parents and to support parents to be able to advocate for themselves. So I'm very happy to have a phone call for free with anyone. And then from that, I can signpost to where they can get access to information, where they can get free resources, where they can get free information, where they can get free one-to-one support. And I'll say to them, like, go away, do what you need to do. And I'm always here in the background. So if you need me to come in and review a document, if you need me to come and do the 1035 application, if you need me to come in and do the bundle for the tribunal, I will do it. That's what I'm here for. But I always advocate to try and empower and signpost to free resources first, because it's a struggle in itself. I've done it deliberately as an advocacy service because I charge like pretty much a third of what a solicitor would charge. So it makes it much more accessible and affordable to families who just can't do it themselves. These are families, again, like I recognize that place where parents were, like, because I was there when I went through my initial first tribunals. I didn't have the headspace. I didn't have the capacity. I wasn't able to advocate for myself because I was living it. I was right in the thick of it. And so now I'm able to kind of say to parents, look, I know you've got the capability of doing this. You're intelligent professionals. If that's the case, you know, like, you can do this on your own, but if you haven't got the capacity and you want me to take that headache away, and you know that you're going to get reputable and thorough pieces of work from me, because I will treat every child that comes onto my books as my own. That's where I come in. I can provide that as a service, but obviously it's only if parents can afford it. That's why I do so much kind of like free signposting, free services, and they do exist. You don't have to pay for any of this. If parents can afford and they're willing to, that's where I come in.
And you mentioned, I know you yourself as diagnosed ADHD. So I bet making support and help accessible is kind of a challenge in itself as well.
Yeah, they just reviewed the Dimensions tool to make sure that it continues to remain neurodivergent, accessible and friendly. So that was a piece of focused work, which was around co-production. So as a team of EBEs, we did a lot of focus groups with service users, parent carers, schools, health professionals, and all of that was about really analysing the tool. Is it still accessible to neurodivergent parents, young people and professionals? Is the language neuroaffirmative? Is the model that we're using neuroaffirmative? Is there things in there that needs to change? Does the language need to change? Do we need to adjust the way that we're talking about certain things? So that was quite a big piece of work. And that's, now we've just launched the newest version of the tool online, which has been verified and co-produced with neurodivergent communities. So that's the kind of work that we do.
Just as a side note there as well, I know that the Dimensions tool is only specific to Coventry and Warwickshire. So the NHS haven't made it available across any other areas yet.
Yeah.
And for any listeners that are thinking, I'd love to do that, I could do that. How did you get into this work with the NHS?
I applied for the position. A position came up with the NHS. So they've had a big push on co-production because one of the things that they were doing, consultations with communities was always a bit of a tokenistic legal compliance add-on, really. It was always seen as an add-on, and they wanted to step away from that and not just be seen as tokenistic and, well, you just bring in the communities after you've made all the decisions and nothing changes. Communities were experiencing consultation fatigue and getting frustrated because they were giving their views, airing what they had, their experiences, and it wasn't changing anything, it wasn't going anywhere. So they've taken on board this model of co-production, which is very much about putting the ownership back into the communities. So it's breaking it down into pieces of work and then making sure that they actively and effectively and meaningfully engage with the communities that they're trying to serve. And that way, because the work that they're doing is co-produced, the end result is different. And that's what brings the meaningful change.
So this subject is actually very close to my heart, having been through EHC process very recently myself, and everything that you've achieved so far is so inspirational. I know I mentioned earlier that I wanted to find out how you squeeze everything in. Can you tell me about being a mum and studying with the Open University, how you found it all, how you squeezed it all in?
So typically I would study when the children were at school. So I could only study term time, kind of 9 till 3-ish, typically. Yep. But obviously when there was pressure points, when the pinch points came for assignments or for EMAs and things like that, I was just working after the children were asleep and into the small hours in the morning. That was the only way to do it. I was lucky I could buy in support, so I would get carers and PAs sometimes. So when I knew that I had exams coming up or assignments to hand in, I would book the PAs in advance. So sometimes I could study in the evenings and they would be there to support. So I was lucky I could do that. But I'm a single parent as well, so I've done it all kind of like as a single parent.
It's just brilliant because, I've got 3 children myself, and finding the time to fit it in is sometimes seems impossible, but you just, are showing that if you keep plodding on, you can get there in the end,
I don't know how I do it, to be honest. I don't know how I do it, but I successfully managed to get a first class honours degree in law from the Open University, and to this day I'm still astounded I'm astounded that I managed to do it. I don't even know how that happened. There is a credit to the university into how they structure their programs, because it's not just an end of year exam, that's it, be all end all. It is literally, you've got to do assignments, and you can pace yourself. That was the key for me, building up assignments that contributed to my overall mark. And having, yes, I had that one big paper at the end of it, the EMA that we have in the final year, but I already knew that I had secured however many marks. So I kind of was able to know that I had that confidence that this EMA isn't going to make or break me.
And that's exactly the sort of message that we want to get across here to our listeners, is that wherever you are at in life, whether you want a change of career, start a career, you've got family, home, single parent, in a couple, wherever you are, you can do a degree with the Open University, and the flexibility is just fantastic. I can't thank you enough for coming in, Sonia, and explaining all of this to us and for our listeners.
Thank you so much. And thank you for the opportunity for kind of doing this and raising the awareness through the website as well. I appreciate it. You know, it's been lovely talking to you and getting to know you as well.
No, thank you for coming in and chatting with me. I think a lot of our listeners will have found this really inspiring and interesting, and actually probably got a fair bit of information about SEND from here as well. So hopefully see you all soon again.